Dude, that's really fascinating. Yeah, I just, it was odd for me because I'm getting excited about this new thing, right? I'm getting excited about what I'm learning, but then you're quickly just faced with the reality that like you want adversity because if you want to be better, you need adversity to be introduced to who you really are so that you can choose to be better.
Absolutely.
And that's like one of my breakthroughs this week. We should talk about that for a second.
Yeah, okay. I want to hear more about that.
Well, you were rolling with me in that class on Monday. You know what I'm talking about, right? So, yeah, it was after we'd practiced that. What moves were we practicing? Cutting the angle.
Yeah, so we were practicing getting out of the parallel lines, right? The knees and getting out of those lines and rotating your body is just called 90-degree cuts, they call them. So you're cutting the angle. Gotcha.
Yeah, so we had practiced that a few times, and then I've got all these things in my head, and I'm like wanting to do them perfectly when we're live, right? And of course, it never works out that way when you first try. So then I find myself getting frustrated, and I'm like rolling with you, and it's been a while. I don't know how long we went in that round, but it seemed in my mind like it was a long time.
Right.
And you just weren't calling the round. So I was like, gosh, man, I'm like tired. And then after we stopped that round, you said, the first thing that you said was you're almost okay with losing as long as you're surprised by it. And so you're trying to find something that you can be surprised by so that you can get out of whatever you're feeling.
Yeah.
I was like, what did you mean by that?
I meant like,
I think I know, obviously, but I want you to explain it.
If you see it happening, you hold yourself to a standard that it shouldn't happen. Right? You're like, if I know that Rich is doing something, he's not allowed to do it, and I'll fight for my life to stop it. But if I don't know what he's doing, then I'm okay with
not trying very hard. I'm okay with losing. Yeah, which is, I mean, you said it, and I was like, well, I mean, I don't know how I deny that. That's like totally true. Like, I feel that that's true, right? Mm-hmm. And so then I expressed back to you, and I was like, honestly, dude, I'm exhausted. That's how I feel. And I wasn't saying it as an excuse. I was more so saying it like, I'm telling myself I feel exhausted, right? Mm-hmm. Which is different than saying, hey, I'm exhausted, I can't do this. And then you said back to me, well, listen, you just have to tell yourself a different story. Like, are you tired? Sure, but like, that's all relative, right? You could go way harder than you're going. And so, or last longer or whatever. But you just re-script the story. So like, if you're saying I'm tired, then you need to turn around and say like, yeah, if I'm tired, he's got to be way more tired than me, right?
Absolutely.
So we talked about re-scripting the story, and then I think we rolled another round, and then after that, it's kind of a little bit fuzzy, but after that I was like exhausted again. And then do you remember what you said? Yeah. Will you say it, explain it?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end, I wanted to ask you, I knew exactly what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to know that you don't have anything to prove to anybody.
Yeah.
You have nothing to prove to anybody.
So you said that, and then I was like, of course, I don't care about proving anything to anyone else. Right? Because what I thought you were telling me was like, hey man, don't worry about losing. You don't have anything to prove to anyone. Because I'm there with one of the guys that I work with. Like, he works for me essentially, right? And I'm like, but I don't care about that. I'm cool with being vulnerable to everyone I work with. Like, I don't even care. So when you said that, what I thought you were saying was, listen, Hayden, it's okay. You can lose. You don't have anything to prove. I'm like, bro, I don't care. I like literally do not care about what anyone thinks about me. I have nothing to prove to anyone. And then what did you say after that?
And then I said, accept yourself.
Dude, yeah, that was huge, right? So, and then you were like, well, then the kicker for me was like, and if you haven't proved it to yourself right now, it's never going to happen.
Yeah. And I think people like you, that's very important because look what you've done in your life.
Yeah.
Look what you're doing in your life. And truly, I mean, it's a real thing. And I mean it when I say, if you haven't done it by now, it's not ever going to happen. You know?
Really what you're saying, I think, is like, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but what I took from that was like, everyone has to allow themselves to be good with their wins, right? Like, they have to allow themselves to understand their true value. Like, if I'm not okay with who I am right now, then like, based on everything I've done in my life, then I'm never going to be okay with who I am. Right? Is that kind of what you were getting at?
Yeah, in a lot of ways. There's a couple of things. You hit the nail on the head with one aspect of it, but really, like, And you do this a lot. You do this a lot because you'll like text me a picture and you'll be like, hey, this is good. I know this is okay, but don't worry, it'll get better. And,
yeah.
But really what I think when I see it is I see that's good enough for today. And I know that's not good enough for next year, but that is good enough for today. Right.
Yeah.
But you don't even want to say that it's good enough for today. You're like, I'm so focused on that it'll be better in the future that I'm not even okay saying that I like it now.
Oh, jeez, dude.
You're right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you get so, you don't even want to give yourself credit for the moment.
Right.
You want to say, I know I don't deserve that credit now, but in 5 years when it's super big, then I'll give myself credit. And what I'm trying to tell you is if you haven't done it now, your 5 years will be, oh, well, then we'll do it in another 5 years or another 5 years.
And I think that's exactly what you said. You're like, it ain't never going to happen.